So if you're an American and you've been looking north, you've probably heard some buzz about a special way to get into Canada. It's called the Humanitarian and Compassionate Pathway, or H&C. But what on earth does that actually mean? Well, today we're going to break it all down using the real facts from Canadian immigration experts.
Look, it's totally understandable. A lot of Americans are feeling a bit shaky about the future right now. You see the political division, you worry about social stability, and it's got people looking around for other options. And let's be honest, for many, that other option looks a whole lot like Canada.
So you hear about this compassionate path, and it sounds amazing, right? Like a potential lifeline to find that peace of mind you're searching for. But is it really a go-to option for US citizens just looking for a change? Let's dive into what's real and what's myth.
And that brings us to our first, and I mean this, our most important reality check about this whole thing. This is it. This is the single biggest misunderstanding out there. You cannot, let me say that again, you absolutely cannot apply for humanitarian and compassionate consideration while you're living outside of Canada. You can't just mail in the forms from your home in the US and hope for the best. It just doesn't work that way. The process has this very strict, non-negotiable order. First things first, you have to get into Canada legally. That means as a visitor, a student, or a temporary worker. Then, you have to start actually building a life there, getting connected. And only then, once you are physically inside Canada and established, can you even think about submitting an H&C application.
Okay, so let's imagine you've done all that. You're in Canada. What's the core of your application? Well, it all hinges on one single word: hardship. But, and this is a big but, we're not talking about just having a tough time. This word has a very, very specific legal meaning.
Here's the key. The legal standard isn't just hardship, it's disproportionate hardship. The law says you have to prove you would face hardship that is unusual, undeserved, or just way out of proportion if you had to leave Canada. That is an incredibly high bar to clear. And this slide just lays it out so clearly. On the left, these are the kinds of things an immigration officer might actually consider. We're talking about a serious medical risk if your care is interrupted, documented psychological trauma, or a very specific personal risk of discrimination. Now look to the right. Just not agreeing with the politics back home, preferring the Canadian lifestyle, or pointing to general crime stats. I'm sorry, but those just are not going to be enough to meet that disproportionate hardship test.
So this really changes how we think about this program, doesn't it? If it's not for people who just prefer Canada, then who is it for? Well, the answer is that H&C is truly a measure of last resort.
I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. Think of it as an emergency exit, not the main entrance. It's perfect. This isn't your standard front door to immigrating. This is the emergency door you use when the building is on fire and there is absolutely no other way out for you.
So, what does a strong case even look like? An officer is going to be digging deep. They want to see that you have real roots. Are you working, volunteering? Do you have social networks? Is there a documented medical need? And this is a huge one. How would leaving affect a child? They'll look at everything, your tax returns, your community ties, to see if you are truly integrated and facing a personal hardship that goes way beyond the general situation back in the States.
Okay, so knowing how incredibly high the bar is and how specific all this is, what should your actual first step be if you're even considering this?
Just let this quote from a regulated Canadian immigration consultant sink in for a second. A poorly prepared application isn't just a no. It can lead to refusal and create long-term problems. Getting this wrong can seriously mess up your chances of ever entering Canada in the future. This is not something you just wing it on.
So this is the smart path, the one that experts recommend. And I want you to notice something. Filing an application isn't even on the list. Step one, always, is to get professional guidance. A real expert will help you do a full assessment, look into every other possible immigration path you might qualify for, and only then, if every other door is closed, would you even start to think about H&C as that final, last resort. And that really is the main takeaway from all of this. It boils down to one simple idea. The normal immigration routes, through work, or school, or family, those are the main entrances. Humanitarian and compassionate is the absolute last resort. It is not your first choice.
So, when you're thinking about your own life and your own situation, this is the one question you have to ask yourself honestly. Are you just seeking a preference for a different lifestyle? Or can you truly prove with cold, hard evidence that your situation is a genuine last resort that requires this extraordinary measure? Because understanding that difference, well, that's everything.